Hello, I'm Alex Sword, Europe Editor at Internet Retailing, and I would like to welcome you to today's webinar. The presentation today is titled How AI and Machine Learning Affect Retail in 2019, and it is brought to you in association with Unboxed. Unboxed is an e-commerce product discovery platform applying artificial intelligence and data science to connect shoppers to the products they're most likely to buy. It enables a range of services such as personalized site search, navigation, product recommendations, and merchandising. For the webinar today, I'm delighted to welcome two speakers. We have Prasad Joshi, Director of Data Science at Unboxed. Prasad heads the company's data science analytics and relevance team. We also have Joel Layton, Retail Executive and former VP of e-commerce at apparel retailer The Children's Place. Joel has built e-commerce strategy across a variety of verticals with companies such as Land's End, Medifast, and Rue21. Today's webinar will focus on artificial intelligence and machine learning and show some of the benefits retailers can gain from these technologies by looking at real-life examples. After the presentations, we will move into a Q&A session. Let me explain how to ask a question. You will see a chat box on your dashboard. You simply type the question into that box and press send. After the webinar finishes, we will send out a link allowing you to view it again at your convenience. So without any further ado, let me hand over to Prasad and Joel for the presentation. So Prasad, welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, Alex. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. As Alex already introduced, I am Prasad Joshi. I head up the data science and relevance team at Unboxed, where we are creating some magic in the space of search and product discovery, especially for e-commerce side. In today's talk, we will look at what the search and information retrieval problem entails in the space of retail and e-commerce. We'll take a look at challenges that are specific to this field and also glimpses of how to solve for these problems. As you would all know, past few years have certainly seen an explosion of AI and ML applications in the field of e-commerce. These innovations are certainly here to stay. In my mind, we are at the cusp of bigger things unfolding in this space over the next 2 years or so. So let us all gear up, take a look at what could possibly be the pillars in our strategy to make AI and ML work for product discovery. To begin with, let us define this problem. Okay, so search is probably, as we all know, one of the top applications that AI and ML has delivered to mankind, touching upon our everyday lives. It is almost impossible to spot someone who doesn't use a Google or a Bing on a daily basis. At the same time, e-commerce sites have certainly changed the way we go about doing our purchases, booking for travel or entertainment, etc. So basically, they have started empowering us with an ability to complete our daily tasks online, and interaction with these sites always begins with search or an organic text box. And then to map this text search to the catalog is the problem, and it is a complex one. So let us look at how do we define this bit. On the left-hand side, you would see there are these queries, which are the queries that users enter when they come to an e-commerce site. And on the right-hand side, you can see the set of products or the catalog that the e-commerce site has. Now, this problem is twofold. One is it should be mapped to the right subset in the catalog. Suppose you have a query like red leather shoes. It should only show shoes and not probably apparel or certain other stuff. So that is one important aspect of mapping the query to the right subset of products. And then the next important bit is to rank these in the right order. So let us move on and take a look at how we are going to solve this problem and the parts which are the building blocks of how to solve this particular problem. So here is a template. It is something that is a memory map, and I would like everyone to just concentrate a little bit, because this might look a bit technical, but this is something which helps box the different pillars around which any search application is built. So as you already saw, there are the raw queries Q1, Q2, Q3. Then on the right hand side, you have the set of products P1, P2, P3 that are the part of catalog. Now, in the first phase, that is the query enrichment, which is one of the important pillars, we do a key piece of uncovering the user intent and also adding enrichments on the query. So what do I mean by this? Suppose we take a query from fashion domain like black leather jacket. Here, there are a few additional information points like black is a color, leather is a material, and jacket is the actual article type that someone is searching for, right? So these are additional pieces of composition that if we add and boost while we do ranking, it adds great value. So query intent understanding tries to go deeper into semantics. We'll talk about this a little bit down the line. On the right hand side, you can see there is something called the document enrichment. That is, the catalog would have the product and its description. And what typically comes with this is a title, the body, and certain other fields. Now, to add on top of this, there are certain bunch of things we do using deep learning to extract meaningful phrases from the long body of text. We add dimensions of vision, where image is utilized to add certain themes like evening dress in the context of fashion, or like is it a floral print if it is leather sofa, etc. That is certain things we can uncover from the image file. Then it comes to the third and the central piece, which is the ranking bit, where we map the right queries to the right set of products and help stack rank these products in the order of preference. Now, while we do this, there are important themes that are at the hind side of this one. In the sense, there are different business themes that are important for people, which might range from ranking for revenue, or ranking for profit, or ranking for clearance of the products. These are broad themes which we need to consider while doing these rankings. The other piece is how do we personalize well, such that the overall lifetime value is improved. Like if you can personalize well for a differentiated experience of a t-shirt query being searched by a teenage girl versus a middle-aged man, there is value, and you will have repeat usage of on the e-commerce portal. So this is the picture I want to kind of talk about more. And what we do next is basically describe the quick gist of the aspects. That is, query understanding is quite important, which has the intent and user context detection. Then there is the second important theme, which is the document understanding bit, where we enrich the documents with contextual information for added recall and precision while we do our retrieval. And then we have the visibility and ranking, which actually boils down to a multiple objective optimization problem, and it is an interesting problem to solve for the space of e-commerce. Moving ahead, I would now want to touch upon some aspects of e-commerce search that are far trickier as compared to a web search. So yes, these aspects of query, document, and ranking are common when we do a web ranking, but there are certain things we need to do differently. For instance, consider these examples which are coming from different domains. The first one is from electronics. The trending tops comes from fashion. Then there is a health, etc. Each one has a different dimension. The first one, it is important to uncover all the compositional aspects, like your dimension, the brand, the article or the category that is present in the query. That comprises the intent. In the fashion query of trendy tops, there is not much of composition there, but it is something which is a theme which we need to uncover with respect to what is in trend, what is popular right now, and that is something the user is looking for. So it is a different dimension we have to understand the query from. Now, the next part is which is best B12 supplement. It is actually more of a compatibility thing where you want to actually understand for vegetarians which is the best B12 supplement. Similarly, there is an interesting use case we'll describe, like cases for iPhone X is not an iPhone query, but a cases query, because that is the central concept which people are looking for. Now, moving over to the next point, which is an interesting one, even for web search, is a long tail problem where most queries would have very low repeat frequencies. And especially coupled with the fact, which is the next one, which is new products get added in a catalog in an e-commerce setup, which is the life of a product is kind of short-lived, right? So these two together make a combination which is very difficult from a machine learning perspective, because we need models to learn on data, but also be useful over a period of time. Otherwise, if styles keep going out of stock, etc., and we can't use the learnings that has been done on the style, it is not a very good setup to be able to leverage this data. So there are interesting techniques that we use to be able to solve this problem. Then there is also the aspect of scale. We need to do all this in real time. So how do you design the models to be able to support SLA constraints, also handle the load of holiday season while they work? So there are certain configurations that we need to be aware of with a given catalog size, with a given QPS config. What are the kind of models we need to configure? And that is something which is actually a very interesting thing when you cater across different verticals, across different sites, with various combinations of the parameters I just described. Then moving over, we already touched upon this multiple competing objectives of revenue, conversions, clearance while ranking, and that is an interesting and an important problem to solve. Finally, we need to solve this for multiple world markets. We'll need to live with the sparsity problem, and this is kind of the broad set of challenges that comes in when we go for an information retrieval or a search setup in e-commerce. Now, how do we actually win in this space? So I can't touch upon a lot of things because there are way too many, but I would want to touch upon the broad themes. First one being we need to go deep, and we need to understand the semantic contexts when it comes to the user intent, especially. Now, user intent is both the aspects of who the user is, and then there is this aspect of what the user has actually queried for. Now, in this particular bit, which we actually kind of I introduced a couple of slides back, this cases for Apple iPhone 6s has the part where we need to first understand that the model 6s has been referred to, the brand Apple has been referred to, and the concept that has been described, the central concept for this query is cases query, right? And other than this particular bit, we also need to understand that there is a compatibility relation between the model and central concept, that the case has to be compatible to the iPhone 6s. So this level of detail, when we get to, then we are closer to the user intent, and we kind of do a better job. The second one, where implied filter is there, like there is someone who's looking for below X dollars. You need to honor that while you showcase your results, and that is the way. If we do, there is a better possibility of the user converting in an e-commerce setup. So over to the next slide. The other bit which is important here is how do we leverage deep learning for the semantics in the space of e-commerce. So there is this example of a bomber jacket which looks like something on the right hand side of the screen, which the models are wearing. And typically, this bomber jacket that is there sometimes is not referred as is by the users. Some people query it as windbreaker jacket, some call it moto jacket, etc. And it is typically hard without understanding that all these concepts are kind of nearby in the embedding vector space. You will never be able to retrieve the right set of products, and typically you will have lesser products to show, or in some cases it might just end up as a null query where no products are shown up. So we use a lot of deep learning advancements in this space to be able to map these concepts together and enhance on both the document and query side. We also actually can see that these concepts are near a blazer, but there is no linkage there, because there are these other concepts of motorcycle or a hooded jacket which are closer to the bomber jacket, and that is how going deep actually helps for both actually recall and precision aspects in e-commerce setup. Then I would actually want to focus upon one important theme which most of the people especially from the business setup, sometimes think that it is a case where we can build a model and that will just work like magic for all setups, all domains. It's not like that. There is a structure that we need to follow, and I would want to give a couple of intuitive examples in this space. So here is the typical distribution of the query frequency and the query that we see. So there are a few head queries, then a bit of torso queries, and a lot of tail queries which have very low repeat frequencies, or there will be some queries which you would never have seen. Now imagine a space like fashion and a furniture. Data shows us that these domains are kind of tail heavy. So the kind of models that we need in the runtime path are different from typically something like an electronics where it is a head heavy. So without going into too many details, a head heavy domain would ask or need a very strong ranking module. And there are aspects of learning to rank and stuff like that that we use to be able to solve well in this space. When it comes to tail, the query understanding features or the NER models or the entity models are very, very key combined with the ranker, because without that, you wouldn't have a lot of things to do. So that is how I would want to kind of give an insight as to understanding the profile of the customer. In fact, there is a dimension of the catalog size as well that comes in with this. So there can't be a one-size-fits-all solution in this space. Similarly, let us look at this interesting example of polysemy that I have listed. So there is this word pumps, which in the context of fashion means a shoe or a heeled shoe like this. In the context of electrical gadgets, it can be a water pump or a gas pump. So if we want to actually do a synonym of pumps or understand this concept pump, it has to be different in these different domains. Otherwise, it can't be like I fit for the fashion domain and use that model for the domain of electrical gadgets, then things will go haywire. So that is where I want to kind of have everyone's thought, where there won't be one size fits all. There is a structure to it, and also everyone needs to kind of gear up to these domain or vertical expertise models to be able to cater well in the space of e-commerce. So yeah, quick takeaways. I think uncovering true user intent is very central and a key pillar when we build for e-commerce space. The other important bit is domain knowledge and expertise is crucial, because it is the only way you will be able to be differentiable and defensible in the space. And it also needs to have the dynamic configurations possible, looking at different patterns as I described on the last slide. We need to pick and choose our models and pick and choose our tool set to solve well for that space. And finally, For the use case of people who use it, the merchandisers, there has to be a bit of interpretability and flexibility of the configurations in terms of some levers that we can change or knobs that we can tune to be able to get more control and give a great product discovery experience. So yeah, that's all from my side. Over to Joel now.
Thanks a lot, Prasad. I appreciate that. So let me just want to introduce myself. Joel Layton, currently the Vice President of E-commerce and Digital Marketing at Automated Data Processing. Prior to that, have had a long run in retail, basically with a variety of companies, ranging from the Children's Place to Rue 21 in the fast fashion space, Land's End, and Medifast in the health and wellness space. In all my stops, I've worked really extensively in the digital transformation with exercises and Land's End changing and evolving a brand and introducing recommendations engines and site search enhancements to Rue 21 and building out digital within the traditional bricks and mortar retailer. And across these experiences, I've seen basically all the platforms that I'm sure everyone is familiar with, from the Hybrises and the WebSpheres to the Oracle ATGs, working our way down to Demandware and Homegrown. And in all the stops I've been, site search has been a key component. And I think especially with the advent of mobile and the hockey stick growth of mobile usage, I'm imagining we've all seen how our use in site search, particularly in mobile, but as well on desktop, has just expanded exponentially. And I always find it a fun fact that, way back in one of my early stops, we actually used the Google search appliance for site search. So you saw the tech and Prasad talking deep about how the technology is going to work. So now let's talk a little bit about how we can actually make it work and how it's applied for you. So when you're as we all know, whether we're in apparel, maybe potentially consumer electronics, auto parts, what have you, depending on your catalog size, people are going to be searching and engaging in site search. So when you're searching for clothing, how many times, and when you've gone to a website and you search for, say, clothing in this example, how many times have you been on a site and entered something like blue jeans, and basically you've seen everything but blue jeans be returned? What AI allows you to do and fix that problem and that frustration for the customer is it allows you to dig into the attributes of the product to really stand out and deliver what the customer wants. So taking the technology that's been built and find out exactly what the customer is working on. And Prasad talked a lot about customer intent and mining the product. And this is what, this is the kind of real world examples that would be applicable. So using that blue jeans as an example, not only do you have blue in jeans, but you also have things in the apparel world. Is it boot cut? Is it skinny? Is it straight? Is it high waist? Is it hip hugger? All these things are attributes to what could be considered blue jeans or the product. When thinking of color, what about things like things about indigo or navy? So what are the differences between the two of those? So can you have indigo? That's a blue. Is it a navy? That's a blue. Is it blue? That's a blue. So when that's happening, does the machine have to learn to figure out what to return to best service the customer? These are all attributes, right? Everything from color to style to cut, leg length, hips, everything. These are the things that AI needs to mine to make your thing smarter. Because at the end of the day, what you're ultimately trying to do is you're trying to give the customer what they want. Give them the best result set possible through sites, and that should be the thing that works for you and what you should be focused on. Again, you can take this out into auto, thinking about disc brakes and all the iterations, grocery. If you're searching, if you're running a grocery, the different versions of pasta, all the things and attributes of a product that need to be applied, and how can technology help you with that? So now everyone has heard of AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning. You're getting slammed on a daily basis with it. You're reading articles from the internet retailers and whatnot, and e-tailers and BuzzFeeds and everything that comes across about talking about how artificial intelligence is going to make your life better. So as you're investigating and building out your experiences and considering artificial intelligence as a way to improve, here's some things that I think we should think about as we're going through this. If you're investigating the solution, you're probably a person who's really in charge of conversion and revenue for your site, right? Whether it starts at one of the people that are in charge to you, or if you start the discussion, more likely than not, you're worried about revenue on your site and conversion. So AI starts to enter into discussion. AI is definitely a tool that can help you, and this is what, but you can't just expect to plug in an AI tool and expect everything to just magically go. You have to think about and look at the things that you're selling. So using apparel is the great example, or an example near and dear to my heart. What are the attributes that you have about your product? Think about how far you want to go on your AI journey. If you have very complex products with lots of attributes that your consumers are selling upon, well, AI becomes a real good tool for you to try figuring out how to make the thing more efficient and make your website more efficient, make your results set better to allow your customers to convert and get what they need. So think about the product attributes that you're going to be feeding into the machine and feeding into the AI intelligence as food, and figure the higher quality, the better the results. The more you can give it, the more it can eat, the more it can understand what your customers are trying to do. You also want to understand testing, okay? You want to optimize constantly as you and your tool learns, and think about AI by its nature, and more importantly, the corollary, or the brother in lockstep of AI is machine learning, right? The systems are going to learn as they go. So you want to ensure that your definitions that you're baselining and putting in, that they make sense, but they also evolve. So if, for example, if you have lots of searches on blue jeans, don't just create a rule that forces all the results to go to all jeans. That's not what a customer wants, right? Your customers, whether they are in grocery or auto parts or apparel, when they put in a search for something specific, blue jeans, disc brakes, Favali pasta, they want results that show those exact examples. They don't want to be thrown into an array or a large pool where then they have to pick between all the options that are in front of them, right? Remember, the internet provides them very quick access with multiple browsing to go to a competitor and move along. So you want your site search results to be as tight as possible. So as you're picking a tool, some of the things that I think about is, first and foremost, ease of use. And I say that because you're going to have a team of people, maybe it's even yourself, that has to use this thing. And site search probably isn't the only thing that you have to worry about during a particular day. You have hundreds of other things, multiple other things to work on. So the ability to get into the tool, put the rules in that you need, extract the reports that you're looking to see is tantamount for your success. So I'm a big fan of making sure it's easy to use, right? Get the information I need, adjust the rules that I think I have to adjust, do a boost and bury when necessary, but do that in a way that's really efficient and easy to use. You have to get your reports, right? I like the ability to have to report from both within the tool and from outside. So how easy is it for your tool to tie into your web analytics product so that you can see the results that happen when you implement a new system or when you're nurturing and growing your current system? It definitely has to play nice with others, right? How well does your system integrate with the other systems around you? Most in particularly something like on a site search, how does it integrate with your product information systems? How does it integrate seamlessly into your e-commerce platform, right? Probably even more important. So getting it to work with both of those systems via API, data feed, etc., it's really important that you can get, whenever you're choosing a new system, you have the ability to make it nearly plug and play with whatever you have in your current technology stack. Understand, the complexity and the techniques being used when someone is throwing artificial intelligence at you, right? These are really complex concepts, right? They're confusing. There's a lot going on. You know, make sure whatever vendor you're talking to or whatever product you're looking to go to, make sure they understand what they're talking about, and make sure they can deliver the understanding to you in consumable bites. This way you can have confidence that the vendor that you're choosing and the product that you're choosing is going to work for you, and then you're going to be able to explain it not only to your teams but to your senior leadership as well, so that everyone can have a good sense of, hey, this is what this crazy thing artificial intelligence is doing for us, and this is how it's going to work. It's really important because when you understand the techniques being used in AI, you'll be better able to adjust the rules or create the rules around your artificial intelligence products to make it work that ultimately delivers the best results for your customers. Because at the end of the day, delivering the best results for your customers is all that matters. And then again, as I say, can you readily explain it to your leadership and what's going to happen? When I say this, it means you're about ready to put in artificial intelligence into your technology stack. Explain to your leadership this is what this means. In a lot of cases, this means, hey, we're going to allow the customer more power to dictate what they want based on the results. That means we don't necessarily need CEO or CXO telling us, hey, move that t-shirt from the 4th spot in the results set to the 1st spot. That might not be appropriate based on the data that artificial intelligence is telling you. It's telling you, no, that t-shirt should stay in the 4th slot because it's the 4th best thing that we have. And this, unbeknownst to us, this t-shirt that's now in the 1 slot, it got there through algorithms and mathematics and behavior, and we don't need to change anything. That's a cultural shift in many, many organizations. It's now taking a bit of the human side of things out of play and allowing the customer, the most important piece of the puzzle, the customer, to dictate what it wants. The machine is just telling you this is what the customer wants. So as you grow into this, you will evolve and learn how to do that. Now, that's not being said that you don't have the ability to make adjustments and do a boost and bury and force things in, but you want to begin diminishing the necessity to do a boost and bury and rely more on the intelligence of the system that you're putting in, and use the boost and bury techniques as your overrides when necessary. So what can results look like as you start putting in these cool tools and this fancy artificial intelligence stuff? Well, results can be immediate, but they also need to be nurtured. In the cases where I've been lucky enough to put these type of systems in, I've seen some pretty impressive 20 to 25% bumps in conversion within the first month. You know, pretty eye-popping stuff. Now, a lot of these results will be determined on where you were in your evolution of whatever it is, in this case, site search, to see how well you were converting, how well it was going to be used. But when you introduce these type of sophisticated tools, you're going to expect some movement north, and you should expect some increases into your performance. And that's going to be real important. Again, in my experience, I've been lucky enough to see 2025, and I would say you have, if you are going down this journey, you should expect some real performance. And why do you do this? You're going to have better control over the definitions that you're putting in site search if you're moving into an advanced site search mechanism. And you're going to learn which attributes are important and which ones you may need and which ones you don't, right? So if you have a very complex product set that you're building out and you want to say, hey, I have a product with 25 attributes, you might start right out of the gate to have the system search and consume all 25 attributes. You may find through the machine learning you need like 7 of those. And that's going to be really important because at the end of the day, it's going to give you better results, which will drive conversion because you give the customer what they want. Over the long term, the more you work with this, the more you nurture it, the better your results you'll be. Please don't just think you're going to turn it on, let it ride, and then everything's going to be great. You want to continue to monitor your initial definitions. Be definitive of which attributes are important. Is it price? Is it color? Is it size? Is it cut? You know, those are the type of things that you should think of. But as you optimize, add more attributes to capture more of the long tail may be a strategy that you need. It could be the other way, that the long tail's not working for you. You can basically turn down attributes to, again, be more efficient. Do things change for seasonality? I know certainly in apparel, whether it was children's apparel or whether, or adults, you have certainly the end of the year, the end of the calendar year, massive time for seasonality fluctuations. But in the more detailed time, when you're trying to find how can I wake up customers, say in your slower times, whether that might be late to early spring because of swim season, how do you adjust your search results and your rules so swim becomes a really important part of the topic? Back to school for children's, right? Set the things up so the result set is perfect for the kids that you're dealing with. So those are things that you need to think of. But as I think you all understand, it's nurturing is the key to success. So meeting the customers' expectations will drive the revenue, right? Give the customer what they want. And I apologize if this sounds like a broken record, but at the end of the day, it's the customer that matters. At Land's End, the founder, Gary Comer, had a wonderful saying: take care of the customer and then everything takes care of itself. So if you give the customer the result set that they have, that they want and that they're expecting, the revenue and the results will follow for sure. Let the AI make the tweaks based on that customer behavior, right? The AI will learn, the artificial intelligence will learn what the customers are doing and how to build out from it. Take advantage of that and continue to nurture. Eventually you may make buying and merchandising decisions based on what you want. And you're seeing, and what I mean by that is, as you see the result sets and as you see what people are activating and maybe more importantly, not activating, you will work with your merchant partners to decide, hey, we should go heavy in the blue jeans, or B, blue jeans aren't working, you guys should maybe go buy more black jeans. Eventually, as the AI and how the consumer behavior works, your merchant partners and the intelligence you're gathering, it can have a very interesting discussion of how you should be able to evolve. So Route 21 is an example of one of the places where I've installed this type of this type of functionality and technology. We saw some really awesome results. We replaced a legacy solution which lacked really just even the basic smarts to do this. It was very laborious to work through our search results. And relevancy, to try improving the relevancy was really manual, hours instead of minutes, days, weeks instead of days, just to kind of keep the thing working correctly. We introduced something that we introduced the Unbox product there, highly intelligent, easy to use, layered into our e-commerce platform well, extensive merchandising controls that allowed us to help tweak the existing AI when necessary. All this kind of stuff allowed us to see really awesome results, the likes of which of a 27% increase in search conversion rate. Average revenue went up, per search session by 20%. Real results because we were giving the customer what they wanted. And more importantly, it freed up the resources in-house to think about other things to improve the business, right? I had folks who, instead of just having them spend hours readjusting rules on our older system, giving them something that was more intelligent, dare I say, fun to use, they were able to impact the business, feel better about the job that they were contributing because they were able to think differently, right? And they were able to see awesome results right away, and they felt better about their job, and they were also given more time to think about, hey, what are other ways that we can improve the business more? What are other rules that we can put into this cool AI system that we have that can make it even better, whether that's across the plus segment, the girls segment, the guys segment. So introducing the tool brought, benefits that you didn't quite see from just job satisfaction and freeing up employees to be more creative. I mean, these kind of things are important, not because all that type of great thought and that great energy leads you, that your employees and your team, to build better solutions that ultimately drive better customer behavior and giving the customer what they want. So thank you very much for the time, and I think we can now open up for any questions. Alex, I turn it back over to you.
Hello. Yes, we do have some questions coming through, so I will go through these in turn. Firstly, we have from Erica, can brands help retailers improve this on retailer sites? And what role can brands play? So, in essence, the brands want to get better at selling to consumers, and Erica wants to know what sort of adjustments to relevancy in their categories would be possible, and whether it will be of value to retail partners.
Yeah,
So
so I think that's, if I may, I'll take a stab at that. So Erica, I think it's a wonderful question. And I'm a firm believer that the answer to that is an absolute yes. I think what the brand's obligation to the retailer then is to provide at the simplest level as many of the attributes as possible. At a more brand level, sort of artistic, creative side, tell as many stories and provide the copy and the information that's rich in words. Because think again how these systems work. The consumption of the text is a big key. Prasad, in one of the examples, gave the long tail example. Providing really solid content and robust content about the brand's products to the retailer and working in a partnership to allow that retailer to consume that information, most likely putting it into the product information systems or the PIMS, putting it into those product information management systems that you provide them should allow them to really explode the experience for the customer. So I mean, bluntly, I would say at a lot of levels, it's almost the obligation of the brand to provide all that information to the retailer. And then it's really the quid pro quo is that then the retailer is obligated to take all that information to get it into the systems to allow the customers to find it, right? At the end of the day, it's all about the customer. So getting that information is key. And I absolutely think that how the brands can take these type of systems and these type of technologies and sort of drive and help nurture and push the retailer to really provide great customer experiences.
So we just have a follow-up from Erica. She said we've revamped basic and enhanced content and images, but find that search tools are still young on the retailer sites, so it can return strange results even with relevant product searches. So I just wondered if you, Joel, if you had an answer to that.
Yeah, no, and I think that goes back to my point about nurturing. If I were to guess, and I hate, well, I'm imagining what you want to look there is continue to play with your rule set. Continue to understand how the attributes are going, because when you first put it, depending on how the content is set and how robust and how it's getting into the system, immediately you can see some funky results the first time you turn it on. I think what you have to do is when you see the funky results, you need to take a look and take a step back and understand the rules that you've built around it. And is that the place where you should be doing the tweaking? My hunch would be you'll find a bunch of nuggets to help with the fix in the rule set. If for some reason that becomes a problem and you continue to bang your head on fixing rules and try this rule versus that rule versus that rule, I would then take a look at, and I think Prasad might be able to jump in and verify this more, you would then take a look at how the data is getting into the correct systems, right? Because you might have some layout problems of how the data is getting in so that the AI is actually getting tripped up because it's not set just right. Now, I don't want this to sound that if you don't have everything perfect, this isn't going to work. It's not that. It's an understanding of, okay, sort of what are the inputs necessary to allow the algorithms to feed and learn properly. And if we're providing those algorithms roadblocks, they're going to get tripped up. So I would first look at your rule set, continue to mine and continue to work and play with those, but also take a look at how the data is getting into the system and make sure that everybody thinks it's pure and the integration is proper.
Yeah, certainly. So I think, Joel, about the data part, I do agree. And there are multiple dimensions to this. What data gets in, and how do you actually bake in robustness into your modeling? That is one dimension. The AI ML models in this space definitely look for. I touched upon something like sparsity, etc., which is actually key, and robust models are there. But yes, we can't live with wrong counting of clicks or non-attribution of orders, etc. So that is another important thing. And the other bit from a business side here, I just want to add is like too many rules sometimes are counterintuitive to where AI ML wants to take it, and hence there should be a willingness to explore and have the right guardrails in place with respect to A/B experimentation system, etc. And then let the AI ML evolve and actually make create possibilities of realizing the full potential of the e-commerce portal. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Great. Okay, on to the next question from Bruce saying, this is quite focused on search. Do you see any AI benefits in outgoing marketing communications, such as email or push, especially around how to target customers better, considering that his engagement rates are decreasing using his current segmentation techniques on his ESP?
So another great question. So definitely peeling, into a little different direction. But I absolutely think as you build out, data management platforms, customer information platforms, I think what's going to happen is you're going to begin using AI tremendously, and there are some companies out there that are beginning to go down that road. Because you have this mountains and mountains and mountains of information in your CRM that it's not that it's not easy to just go in and cut loose on it. So I'm envisioning you're going to see an involvement of AI getting in there to allow email to be more personalized and more targeted. Certainly push notifications, whether it be web push or through an app. Those type of things, to me, marrying the CRM to outbound, like it's just tailor-made and teeing up for that. And I think you're going to see, certainly as these DMPs continue to evolve themselves, and the CDPs, the customer data platforms, continue to evolve, those guys are all basing their products off of artificial intelligence to use. At some of the elementary states, Bruce, introducing chatbots into your site to answer relevant questions on the fly. Ironically, I also implemented one of those at Rue21, wildly successful in being able to help a customer filter down to the product that they were looking for. So it was sort of a combination of push and messaging in one, where as they were on the site, we were able to feed out, hey, are you looking for this? Oh, you're looking for jeans. Oh, do you want blue jeans or do you want red jeans? And then it just sort of works. So I think as you do your outbound reach out, I would start investigating and looking down into what the DMP and the CDP space may have to offer you. Now, a caveat to that, it's a wild and crazy space right now. Anywhere you go to some of these webinars and whatnot, and anything you read, someone's talking about a DMP, someone's talking about a CDP. So do your homework, do your digging, ask a million questions. A lot of people are going to say very similar things, maybe fractionally different between one another, but try getting all your homework done, because I do believe the opportunity for AI is absolutely going to explode in the outbound marketing areas, and I think you're basically it's starting to happen. But it should work for you as it ties into your CRM.
And
Prasad, did you have anything to add on that one?
Yeah, my 2 quick cents. Thanks, Jill. Actually, he covered a lot of details on this. But yeah, so this bit is actually already happening as we speak. So this is the present, and yeah. So the scope is there to kind of grow and explode on top of what is there. But these are systems that are in place, and across your touch points with an Amazon or a Flipkart or so many other players. A lot of email targeting, knowing the persona of the user, and in-session, in-app notifications based on their affinities towards certain brands or parameters like newness or parameters like exploring for fashion content or going for probably cheaper items or discounted items are different parameters on which there are nudges that are designed into the system to be able to actually help convert better. And yes, all the segmentation for using geolocation, using past purchase data, lots of it, the email targeting campaigns are happening, and these are as yeah, understanding your customer well, understanding your product space well, then the mapping that is between the user and the customers are leveraged, and yes, these are certain systems where models like sequence labeling, models like LSTMs, etc., are being actually leveraged to be able to get more juice and get more conversions.
Great. Okay. And we have another question, or two related questions from Benjamin, who is asking, are there any small takeaways that can be implemented immediately for a retailer of various products across different categories? And sort of dovetailing with this, he's also asking, if you could do just one thing on your e-commerce site, I assume this is as a retailer, in the next 1 to 3 months, what would it be and why? So I suppose small practical steps that people can be doing today.
Okay. So I can take an initial quick dig at this one, and probably Joel can add to it. So yeah, now one dimension that Benjamin is asking is about what works across different categories, and one thing that you can try out. I'm not sure if they would have already done it, but overall there is a sense of how do you bake in what is popular or trending on your site. Okay, so this is something that you can try out quickly and incorporate these particular signals into your overall experience of search. And definitely that is something that will add value, and you can actually have better conversions or better customer experience driven from this, because there are these signals that are validated across a lot of users. You can also tweak and do this per category wise, because there is some form of normalization that you should be able to do. But to just quickly try out certain things, if that is not something that is already tried out, you should try that bit out, and it generally helps across different categories. Can you tell me about the second question, or can you remind me what was the second part of this question?
Yeah, the second part was, if you could do just one thing on your e-commerce site in the next 1 to 3 months, what would it be and why?
Okay. So again, so if it is one thing that you need to do well and correct, I would still go back and tell you that you need to focus on uncovering true user intent. So that can mean a lot of things, but if there is something you are looking at a 3-month period that you want to try out, this is the first place you need to attack and get well. Like get a good confidence on what is happening on this. You can start with a bunch of query analysis as to what is working, what is not working, what are the type and patterns that are coming in. But anything you want to start off, that is probably one thing I would tell or kind of advise based on my experience.
So Prasad hit a lot of really good points and possibilities there. I think to crystallize, if I had one thing I had to do and I was walking back into a shop and taking over a site, the first thing I would do would be testing. It's going to give you the customer intent that Prasad mentioned. It's going to help you understand whether your site's laid out correctly or not. It's going to help you understand whether or not you're talking to your customer correctly. Before I would go down any big journey of buying any fancy new stuff or trying to reinvent the wheel, I would start testing. If you were looking for one word and one quick idea, you must and absolutely need to start testing. And if you're already testing, test some more, right? If you want to get quick wins and get quick understanding of what your customers are doing, test.
Great. Okay. And sort of related to this, Joel, you mentioned walking back into a retailer, and this question talks about your experience. So, as a practitioner, what was the makeup of your team, and did you need to change or add any skill sets when you changed from legacy search to a more modern search solution?
Yeah. So that's a great question. The makeup of the team, as you might imagine, it ranges everything from web analysts to front-end developers, site merchandisers, content developers, user experience people. So at a high level, what I felt, and I'm hoping this isn't unique, is that when we introduced a new system, it was our obligation at first, I think, to coach them up and help your people learn and grow within the new system. I find that to be extremely rewarding, both for the people involved and then even for yourself to watch, help somebody move along in their career and learn a new skill set. So when we were implementing and we had to implement these new systems, I did not see a need to have to change staff significantly, actually really change it at all. I think what it did is the tools that we implemented empowered the staff to become bigger, faster, stronger.
Great. Okay. And Prasad, a question for you here. How do you see artificial intelligence, machine learning, and search evolving over the medium to long term, so the next 5 years?
Yeah, so that one is actually very interesting and also a nice question. I can go on for quite some time on this, but in my mind, actually, this is an exciting time for the whole space of AI ML. Probably, if you look at the midterm or whatever, the long term-ish, probably we are not actually equipped enough to imagine what is possible, say, 10 years down the line. But 5 years down the line, for sure, lot of things such as the ability to search by voice, use a lot of image capabilities while searching, which is actually happening even now, will get enhanced. It is certainly a thing where probably all this technology can be also completely redefined to kind of make it like ether, that is, it is omnipresent and we don't realize how it starts affecting it. I think that is a dimension where probably a lot of AI ML decision making will change the way we do things, because there was one phase which was automation. We are hitting 70 to 80% of the capabilities of automation, but there is a lot of unexplored space in how decision making and intelligence units can be put to use. And the opportunities are immense for businesses, for how people do things, and how we conduct our life. So we can just take a look back, right? Like 15 years back, we wouldn't be imagining of any e-com or just name e-commerce, and it is so omnipresent right now. And we are actually thrilled as to how Google auto-completes our queries and understands a whole lot of context. So now the upside from here is immense, and I'm very excited personally being in this field. What is there to unfold, and being a part of this journey is actually very exciting.
Great. Well, I think that's a good place to finish today then. So I'd like to end the webinar by thanking our speakers, Joel and Prasad for their presentation today. As always, we'll be following up with an email link to the webinar that you can access at your convenience. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.